Super buddy, it's your boy Proftrof and we're back again with another video by Seth. This is Dark Messiah of Might and Magic review. Okay, so I've actually beaten Dark Messiah of Might and Magic a couple of times, and all I can say is it's one of the best action games ever made. Up to this day, still, it's amazing. Like, this game, it's basically Dishonored 1, but old, maybe a little bit better, actually. Well, no, Dishonored 1's pretty good. It's not just garbage, but 1's pretty good, okay? It's an amazing game. If you haven't played it, play it.
Hey people,
That's what
Seth
Seth
here.
says.
Today, I'll be reviewing Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Strangely, Dark Messiah is a game about breaking your dad out of jail. Stranger yet, Dark Messiah is very patchy with presenting its source material. If anything, Dark Messiah is a glorified visual.
But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters? What the fuck is an idolater? And all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur that is the second death. Okay, boomer.
Novel based on King James Version Genesis 17 through 20. We've got all the set pieces. Lot's arrival to and the subsequent smiting of Sodom and Gomorrah, women turning into pillars of salt for disobeying God, and a woman of your own flesh and blood getting you drunk and impregnating herself with your seed because there's no other men around. It's all there. And yet, I can't help but feel that the message of the church is somehow lost in this depiction of the Old Testament. For a start, the Pharaoh of Egypt was not a necromancer. Yes, it's entirely possible that there were trained combat gimps employed by his forces against the tribes of Judea, but it is highly unlikely that all the prominent scholars would simply leave out his ability to summon bone dragons and animate the dead. That's blasphemy. The only spellcaster with that kind of power level is Moses in Exodus, parting the Red Sea to escape the Pharaoh, using cheat codes for infinite mana, and making rocks bleed fresh drinking water is all in a day's work for him. That's based on credible evidence. The more I play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, the more I'm convinced this isn't a Christian game at all, and I feel that I've been grievously misled by the cover title.
The game's glitching out, that's not supposed to happen.
If you want to teach your children the lessons of God through video games, I recommend you look for more educational titles elsewhere. Story. You play as Seraph, the half-demon son of Demetrius LeBron, two-time NBA champion and demon lord of the high hells. Like any true absent father, Demetrius only begins contacting you telepathically when he's in jail. Seraph, my boy, this only begins contacting you telepathically.
If it ain't gay if the dick feminine. Real shit, men make better woman than woman. That's some real shit right there, bro. Listen, it ain't gay if you suck your homie's dick. Just say no homo, it's okay.
Telepathically when he's in jail. Seraph, my boy, I know I missed out on your childhood and left you to be raised by demonic sorcerers, but I had a good reason. Listen, mind helping your old man out? Bring me the Skull of Shadows and free me from this whack-ass prison. We can go for McDonald's after. I'll buy you a $1 menu, my treat. So you cluelessly...
What makes this joke a little bit more fucked up is I'm pretty sure LeBron grew up with only his mother. Like, I'm pretty sure his dad ran out on him.
Murder your way across the continent while deciding whether freeing your father and subverting the International Court of Justice is ethical or not. One may argue that a true objectivist egoist would do whatever they feel like doing, and any negative ramifications of freeing your demonic father on the terrestrial world are simply moral spooks. Morality itself is a spook. Conscience are simply moral spooks. Morality itself is a spook.
You have been visited by Sterner, the spookman of egoism. You will be an individual and not be affected by spooks, but only if you vote in the next...
Spook. Conscience is a spook. Or you can take the utilitarian approach and decide that the lives of millions of unwashed peasants who probably dabble in incestuous unions and child abuse are worth more than your own personal happiness as a son being united with his single father who made some mistakes and lost custody of his only child due to the entrenched pro-feminist lobby of the Ashan courts. Decision-making in Dark Messiah involves making the difficult choice between a literal semen demon who will protect, swallow, and adore you forever, and acts only in your own best interests to overthrow your father and put you on the throne of hell, or a shrill-voiced, shrieking, roasty hag with a Germanic fridge-frame body and problematic haircut who wants you to do everything she says, despite never offering anything in return besides using telekinesis twice, who can be betrayed and left to be eaten by a gigantic tarantula. But this doesn't stop her. She's so bitter that her own vitriol keeps her alive so she can bitch at you after being revived as a lich. It's great role-playing like this that keeps Arcane Studios a respected developer.
Oh, okay,
Gameplay. Dark Messiah.
Yeah, this is why the game is so good. Like, the gameplay is amazing. You can do this shit. Put ice on the ground, enemy moves it, he fucking slips.
Like this that keeps Arcane Studios a respected developer. Gameplay. Dark Messiah is probably the best first-person fighting game out there. It's also one
Well, nowadays, maybe not, but then, definitely.
of the few titles out there that can be completed using no weapons besides your left foot. The game lets you develop your character in different directions by spending skill points you acquire towards different character paths, with Warrior being the most pragmatic and straightforward. Previously, I would have said stealth isn't very viable, but on my current playthrough, with the full stealth perks and the assassin suit equipped, I'm virtually invisible in the shadows unless someone walks right into me. Mana recovers too slowly to use spells regularly, and forces you to chug down mana potions instead. To correct this, I strongly suggest you use my console commands to make magic viable, because normally it's pretty shitty to wait several years to fire a single fire arrow. Magic also requires a huge amount of skill points to acquire, so I suggest you give yourself a couple of freebies to play around with environmental kills. Combat keeps you occupied for most of the game, besides climbing ropes for a few hours in a platforming section that you make from your rope bow that spawns infinite amounts of ropes attached to arrows enchanted to be harmless against anything that isn't a ceiling. The combat's really good, and you can approach situations through a variety of ways, meaning you can either kill enemies directly with your abilities, or use the terrain and environmental hazards to help them meet their demise. When I played this many years back, I also didn't appreciate the fact that there's a variety of little side paths for each area, letting you
can craft shit, there's a shit ton of secrets. This game reminds me a lot of the old Thief games, like one of the best stealth games ever. The old Thief games, if they had decent combat.
to do optional tasks, reach additional equipment and secrets, or allowing you to skip past most of the level. There's a lot of nice subtle interactions as well, such as when enemies are very injured, they'll start to limp away from combat and attempt to escape the combat area. If you've got daggers equipped and their backs are turned to you, your daggers will switch positions, and tapping left click will instantly execute them by firing a dagger in their neck. Doing enough damage to enemies also unlocks an adrenaline move, which empowers whatever weapon or spell you're currently using for the next attack, which can, for example, permanently freeze an enemy solid with the ice spell, or permanently shrink
Oh yeah, and you can pick up shit and throw it at enemies, which is pretty dope.
down an enemy with the weaken spell, who will run for their lives and scream until Seraph's foot automatically crushes them when you walk too close. When this game came out, it got a lot of criticism that it was, quote, too easy because of a
What?
kick. I'd wager that none of these so-called games journalists played it on the highest difficulty setting. So, let's compare the same level on all three difficulties. Easy, as expected, not too much to deal with. Medium, manageable, but not unbearable. And here's the same level on Insane Mode Dante Must Die difficulty. Good luck surviving this shit, you goddamn casual. Criticisms. There are legitimate problems with this game. It's still unstable as shit, or at least the current Steam copy is. Get used to reloading saves because Source Engine died on the loading screen, and never told you because you're in full screen mode and the error message only appears on a desktop. If you would describe vanilla Skyrim as prone to crashing, then you can describe Dark Messiah as a 20-car crossroad pileup with no survivors. Except their children, who will now be orphans. forced to sell their bodies on the street. Dark Messiah, summarized briefly, is a very solid first-person fighting game with a terrible shitty story written in a bastardized universe Ubisoft spawned after acquiring the rights to the Might and Magic franchise, where all the lore revolves around Dragon this and Dragon that. All the gods are dragons. There's the Dragon of Light, the Dragon of Order, and the Dragon of Chaos. Hell, fuck, why not? Jesus is a dragon too. The plot of both this game and all the Heroes of Might and Magic games after 5 is like DeviantArt meets porn script writing school. But just this once, the end product is a diamond in the rough, which justifies it all.
Fuck
in
that
many
bitch.
ways, Dark Messiah is like Super Mario, except instead of crushing wildlife with your titanic weight, you kick them into serrated spikes. As always, more content to come. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild bankrolling these terrible, terrible videos. You're all wonderful. Have a good one.
Okay, I kind of agree with him. Like, the engines look buggy, but it's an old game. Like, most old games had some fucking buggy ass engines. I don't know if it's because you play on a new system or whatever. The game is that if you have not played this fucking game, go play it. Okay, you will not regret it. It is amazing. You kick people, you slay people, and you fuck succubuses. Succubus? Well, she sucks dick as well, but she. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a nice fucking day.